Hello crafters! Maureen here from MadeByMarzipan.com. Today I have a tutorial for all of my paper crafting fans. If you're a scrapbooker or a stamper, you're probably familiar with all of these supplies. Embossing powders that are messy to use, and the hassle of a heat gun. Glitters that cake and flake, and adhesives that are either hard to see or take forever to dry. Today I'm going to show you how you can replace all of those supplies with only a few pens. I'll show you how as I demonstrate how to make these two cards. So let's get started. Start by cutting a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half to standard card size. Fold in half and round the edges with a corner rounder punch. Cut a square of pattern paper for the background. Round the corners with your corner punch and adhere with double-sided adhesive. Cut a 1.5 inch wide strip from coordinating paper. Use a border punch on one edge if desired. Adhere to the bottom 1/3 of the card. Add brads to each end of the border strip. Stamp an image on solid colored paper. I've chosen a deer. Cut out the image using a paper punch. Now we can add some texture to our stamped image. Instead of using messy embossing powders and a heat gun, try souffle pens by Sakura. The ink rises slightly as it dries, producing an effect similar to embossing. Trace over the stamped image with a souffle pen. This deer would be adorable with fuzzy flocking, but if you're using a traditional glue stamp pad, you would only be able to add flocking to the raised outline of the image when we want the negative portion of the image flocked. So instead of using a glue pad, use Sakura's Quickie Glue Pen. Unlike my glue pad, Sakura's adhesive goes on blue and dries clear, so you can see precisely where the glue is. It doesn't run, and it only takes a couple of minutes to dry. Fill in the stamped image with the Quickie Glue Pen. Then shake flocking powder on the image. Pour the excess powder back into the bottle and blow on the paper to remove any loose powder. Adhere the image to the card. Now stamp a sentiment on a paper circle or a wooden disc. This card could use a little sparkle, but there's an easier way to do it than this. Sakura Stardust pens add just the right amount of shimmer with no caking or flaking. Trace the sentiment using a Stardust pen. Finely stamped text like this is often difficult to read after it's been treated with regular glitter, but you won't have that problem with the Stardust pen. I'm also going to add a bit of shine to my punched paper by outlining the edge with the clear Stardust pen. Cut a small strip of solid paper and cut it in two. Trim the end of one piece into a V. Then layer the papers to create a banner. You can outline the banner with the clear Stardust pen. Add it to the upper right corner of the card, then place the stamped sentiment disc on top of it. Tie a piece of baker's twine or ribbon around the spine of the card. Add a short scalloped border below the first border. Begin by cutting a piece of cardstock to standard card size. Cut a V-notch in the end of a 1-inch wide pattern paper strip and adhere it near the bottom of the card. Stamp an image on the right side of your card. I bought this bird stamp set for only $1. Now I'm stamping a bird over my previous stamp with a light distress ink so the bars of the bird cage are still visible. This mini sample pack of flocking also cost $1. I'd like my bird to be fuzzy, but I don't want the bars covered. This would be impossible to do with a standard glue pad, but it's easy with the Quickie Glue pen. I just color over my bird, avoiding the stamped bars. A sprinkle of flocking, and it looks like my bird is still behind the cage. I'm going to balance out my card by staggering strips of colorful tape on the upper left. I'm going to write words of a poem as my sentiment, using a white Jelly Roll pen. It stands out nicely against the brown background. Finally, I'm giving my bird a rhinestone eye, and I decided to round opposing corners of my card for interest. I also outlined my pattern paper strip with the shimmery clear Stardust pen. These cards are full of dimension, texture, and sparkle, and look as though they took hours to make. No one has to know they only took minutes. This tutorial was sponsored by Sakura of America. To see Sakura's full line of quality art supplies, visit sakuraofamerica.com. For hundreds more crafting tutorials, visit my website, MadeByMarzipan.com.